Hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maria, and we're going to go right into pulling cards today. I feel like there's a lot of energy swirling, and I feel like it'd be nice to kind of put some images and some words to those feelings that I know I'm having, and maybe you are too. And with that being said, I feel like there's a lot of energy around self-trust. There's a lot of energy of trust in relationships. There's a lot of energy around putting words to feelings. That's what I know I've been kind of picking up on. I've been experiencing it myself. Maybe you have too. And one sec, I'm just gonna shuffle them. The past few days, I think what's been coming up the most is that there's this energy of needing to trust our own desires, needing to be able to evaluate what it is that we truly want, and then taking that and being able to then understand, are we using logic to try to build assumptions and a future around the lack of it? Or are we willing to move forward, trust our instincts, trust ourselves, that if we do move towards it, that regardless of the outcome will be okay? That seems to be the big energy. But let's see. What's the overall energy coming out currently? Okay, so let's start with the Ace of Cups. This is exactly kind of what I was just saying of where are you going to emotionally invest your energy, and are you willing to put yourself out there to be able to gain emotional clarity? Is there a part of you that may not actually be acting in accordance to what you know your heart wants and instead are creating fearful stories or trying to use games, like energetically using tactics to try to gain clarity without having to actually move toward uh, gaining that clarity? How it's coming through is like, you know, when you like send someone a message and maybe it's like a vulnerable message, you're putting yourself out there and it goes like left unread for a long amount of time. And then they post something on social media and you're like, okay, on both ends, where are you tapping into the energy that's being exchanged? Because on one end, the energy is saying, I'm not going to, it has a choice. I'm going to either play with this energy and I'm going to allow my anxiety or my search for clarity um, be dictated by opening this post or exposing myself to the energy in order to get that um, emotional hit, I guess you could say. Or the other option is I'm not playing this energetic game anymore. I'm setting boundaries. I'm no longer investing and wanting to validate other people who aren't willing to actually move toward me. And then the opposite side of that is when you're utilizing those energetic games because of the fear of being vulnerable. So whether you're like, we can't dictate at all times what people are doing or what they're thinking. And sometimes the energy just is, and we don't really care that they didn't answer a message, but sometimes you can feel it in the energy that there's significance behind that. And so you can feel like it's kind of bizarre and there's something there, like they're wanting to seek validation or they're wanting to know if they can still get your energy without actually responding, or they want to know if, because so much time has passed, if you're still around. And you can feel that. And it's like the energy in between that is meant to bring clarity to the idea of emotional security and also trusting our own energetic feelings. So when we decide to do these things, when we decide to be in connection with other people, how in tune are we with the energetics that we can trust our own choices when we feel something? Can we trust ourselves not to engage in codependent behaviors? Can we trust ourselves to actually open up and take action towards expressing ourselves? That's a lot for one card, but I will also say that the Judgment card is also out. And so that's telling me like the message I'm getting through that is like, you're calling upon yourself to be accountable to your own integrity. And that is including emotionally. That is including like, where have you maybe not done what you are asking other people to do? Or where have you held emotional expectations on other people when you actually haven't told them how you feel? When have you put the emotional responsibility onto other people without communicating to them what you actually need or want? And, but are still seeking that validation from them. That's kind of around those circumstances is kind of where this clarity, this emotional clarity is coming through. And I don't think it's settled yet. I don't think that we are in an energy yet of fully trusting ourselves, our desires, our feelings. Excuse me, but it feels like that's kind of where we're at, because then we get the Six of Swords and the Three of Cups. So there is this element of utilizing this mindset of one, internal accountability, and also the energy of like emotionally fulfilling ourselves, making sure that we are actually being honest with ourselves about our emotion. And that our logic doesn't always have to override what we feel like is true for us.
Okay.
This is a very specific message, so let's see. Now I'll pull on the masculine and feminine energies. Again, I'm gonna just preface that these energies can work in dynamics and connection, but I also like to focus on them as internal frequencies and polarities within ourselves individually and see how they're working together for not. All right. Different vibes today. I've been personally working through a lot of inner trust myself based on my feelings. Like, and when I say feelings, I don't mean emotions per se. I think there's an aspect to that, like how emotionally available you are to yourself, and can you work through the fear and allow those emotions to arise so that you can kind of release them. But when I also talk about feelings, I talk about like gut instinct, intuition. I just refer to mine as like I have a feeling, but or I have a knowing. Okay, let's see. Let's pull for the masculine. What's the current energy for the masculine? The masculine energy. What is that?
Well,
I will show you this. Okay. So it seems like the energy of the masculine is going through a period of exactly pretty much what I said, like being in their head, overthinking situations and trying to decipher what is the best thing to do, but almost talking themselves out of what it is they want. And I know for myself, I do that to myself a lot. I try to protect my self-protection mechanism is talking myself out of the things that I want. So that I don't have to emotionally go through like the drop of like it potentially not working out or like feeling like I let myself down. And so a lot of the time I sit in this energy trying to decipher between the logic of something and the internal intuitive knowing of something and want for something, because I fear my own intuition. I would like I almost resent my internal intuition, but we're working through that. A lot of self-forgiveness, a lot of self-compassion for the moments where, we have to choose between safety and logical comforts, um, versus like ideal dream scenarios. And it's not that those dream scenarios and those ideal scenarios can't exist at the same time, but it's those moments where you had to make choices in order to preserve your emotional safety or your physical safety or your mental health. Um, and so you made a choice that didn't look like those desires, and you almost took that as proof of like, see, nothing that I want comes to fruition. But we have to remind ourselves that that isn't always true, because we don't know what is going to happen after that. Does that make sense? I mean, I can speak from experience, so I feel like that's like my biggest uh internal war, I guess. Anyway, so this is kind of evening out, and this masculine energy is now wanting to understand clarity, knowing that there needs to be some sort of physical moment of action or groundedness that can actually provide that clarity. Um, yeah, that's what I'm getting there. And I resonate with that in myself. Like, I feel like my masculine energy is very much holding the feminine through this self-forgiveness, this self-compassion, um, this idea of I can't trust my own my own intuition, because when I trust the masculine guidance, or when I trust the instructions of my inner masculine to bring me somewhere, and it goes to shit essentially, and I don't want to trust that anymore. And she's relearning, like, oh, I guess not all of these intuitive knowings or all these intuitive actions and intuitive gut instincts of where to go, what's happening, where's fit, what we're living is not a direct reflection on my desires not being true, or my visions not being true, or my feelings not being true. It's a direct reflection of sometimes our masculines are leading us to a place that will help us release the fear around receiving what we want. And sometimes we prematurely take that as the answer of, see, we don't get what we want, instead of, oh, this is the path to get there. So this energy of the masculine kind of coming out of the mind and wanting to provide and receive and exchange clarity is a really big step, because he is learning his own self-trust to a greater extent. Like, I didn't mess this up. I didn't retreat this time. I didn't like, I did the best I could, and I'm willing to continue to do that. I now know that after this moment, I have to be able to show up and be able to continue going so that we can gain more clarity around this situation. All right, let's follow a card on the 30. The feminine energy, like I said for myself, I struggle with my inner feminine trusting, like not gaslighting herself, essentially. And so this energy is saying that she's really learning how to trust intuition. So she has no idea what's happening. And so she can't tell by looking at her physical life what's happening. She's having to really tap into her intuition, into the unknown, into the energy, vibration, intuition, to really be able, I think I said intuition twice. So, but that's the only way that right now she can gain clarity for her own self, for her own self-forgiveness, for her own self-love. And when she's doing that, I think what is coming through is she's feeling this King of Pentacles, she's feeling that there's a grounded energy on the other side of whatever is coming forth, whatever is happening. Like, but she's unsure. We don't know. Like, and I believe too, like sometimes my inner masculine will also say things like, I don't know what's coming next. I don't know what's coming next. But I'm going to try and balance this out the best I can. And I'm going to keep moving forward so that I can gain this clarity. And the feminine saying, okay, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I am kind of stressed about it because I'm really nervous that what my intuition is telling me may not be the truth. And so I'm trying not to lose myself in doubt and fear. And I'm trying to trust that I feel this grounded sense of safety on the other side of whatever's coming next. And I think from what I'm understanding is the energy of it all is bringing up a lot of past fear, a lot of past anxiety. And at the same time, there's a level of wanting to move through it, wanting to be accountable to it. Like my text or my posting example, when someone doesn't read your text, but they're posting on social media, that is an example of how the ego is trying to control the narrative around safety, around vulnerability, around having a sense of like an upper hand. And like I said, this is not going to be the case for every relationship. Please don't think that every single person that doesn't answer your text but posts on social media is somebody who's avoiding you because there's some sort of underlying energy. You will know. And that's this. The feminine's like you tapping into the energy of, okay, this feels different. This feels like something different is happening here. And I need to trust that. So that's the energy I'm getting. I don't think that there's any settled no, there's no like settled conclusion to like this inner dialogue that's happening currently. Inner dialogue, apply it to connections if you may, if you wish. But if you read my previous if you watch my previous videos, like I always go through the fact that I think tuning into our own energies and understanding our own inner polarity gives us a really, really, really strong understanding of all the reflections that we receive when we look out into our lives, into our connections, into our situations. So that's what I got. If you are in a position where you feel like you're not really seeing these energies clearly, you feel like you are wanting support or wanting to receive guidance on where these energies may be incongruent, where your next action is meant to be taken to align into that, and to align to the desires so that you can trust yourself, so that you can trust that those are meant for you. Please follow the link below. I do one-on-one sessions. I have availability coming up in July. This is really, read the description for sure of the sessions, because it gives you a really good idea of what I do and what our goal together will be, and if it feels aligned for you. But the whole purpose of what I like to do is I like to go through your situations, receive your stories, receive what it is you're moving through, and be able to essentially feel into where the incongruences lie. So where is this confusion actually coming from? Because if there's a disconnect between action or and words or desire and the way that we're making our choices, like these incongruences make really big staticky disconnects, and it can become frustrating because then you feel like you're going through the same cycle over and over and over and over. And so I really like sitting down with people, investigating where that cycle is continuing to unfold and what it is that's needed in order to actually realign you to what you want, realign you to the place that you know you're meant to be, and create safety in that. Create safety in your ability to receive that, and your ability to be able to speak to that and act in accordance to that, whatever that may be. And when I say action, I don't mean produce a bunch of stuff and a bunch of work. I'm saying action as in setting boundaries or taking time to emotionally connect to yourself or that kind of action, like what is needed to be in congruence with the desire that you actually claim you want. So if that feels like something that you would want to do or sounds like something you would be interested in, that you can definitely find me down below. The connect with me link will be in the description. Other than that, you can check out my previous videos. I feel like they are pretty timeless and they go into how these masculine and feminine polarities interact. And they also have other messages of just like like places where you can self reflect, uh, ways and ways that you can perceive something differently within polarity and energy. So if you're interested in that, you can check out my other videos. And that's what I got for today. I am sending you so much love. If you could please subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. And please leave a thumbs up and maybe a comment below, even if it's a heart or a wave. I would deeply appreciate it. And I am sending you so much love again. I will talk to you soon.